into Wales. Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Foderingham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box to Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. The Dolphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. We will be as smiley and positive as is humanly possible tonight. That might be quite difficult, though. We have 2-1 defeat at home to Bristol City to talk about, and then we've got to go to some team on South Coast, which should be quite easy on Saturday afternoon. I would have thought. We'll cover that in a minute. Nick, how's things? Then Danny. That noise with Danny cleaning his camera. Although yes, that's really a big difference.
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you. All good.
Good. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm comfort eating.
Okay, fair enough. And Joy, how are you? Nice to have you back with us. How are you doing?
Not bad. Hoping to live up to my name today.
We need it. We need it at the minute.
Yeah.
So thank you all. For those people in the comments, we will get through loads of comments. I suspect this is one of those nights where people will have an opinion. We will all disagree with each other. We'll shout, call each other names. But by the end, we'll all be friends.
I was there to eat chips on camera, if I'm being honest.
John Hensbury says, hello, everybody. In life, great. Yeah. Terry is with us. Sarah Ogden, Steve Gundy, Simon Kumar. Loads of people with us so far. Thank you all. Scott Kent as well. Mick, where to start? A loss. It's another loss. 1 point since in this sort of international break window, if you like. Just a point against Preston so far. Just general thoughts on the game. There's lots to pick up. There's lots of comments both during the game to pick up from individual moments, so on and so on. But just your general thoughts on the 90-plus minutes.
I thought it was a poor game, frankly. All over. All pretty much for the full 90 minutes. There were periods of it where either team were in charge of the game, but quality-wise, I don't think there was a great deal of it on show from either side. But yeah, it's another defeat, and that's for me. The defeat's one thing. It's the other part of what happened to us yesterday that's the bigger issue for me at the moment in terms of injuries, which I'm sure we'll come on to. So yeah, a disappointing result, disappointing game, but you know, it is what it is, isn't it? That's where we are in the championship, aren't we? And we seem to struggle no matter what when we're in this division. So, it's going to be another long season, despite all the confidence/overconfidence that we had at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Joy, Paul Davis reported last night, that it's the worst championship start since 2004, which was one of the worst seasons Rotherham have ever had that season. But it feels weird because we've had some really good moments this season. It's not been we've fluked to win here and there with flukes, but we've had 2 or 3 really, really good moments. But the other moments have been so low. It's been a really weird start, I think.
But that's the issue, isn't it? You're talking about 2 or 3 moments. A game lasts 100 minutes, and we've had 10 times 100 minutes, 1,000 minutes, 5 or 6 moments. It's not good enough, is it? I mean, yesterday's performance, for my opinion, was pretty much meh. You know, we started off pretty on the front foot, but it soon fizzled out, and then it just seemed like a team of strangers yet again. You know, I think I've sort of mentioned on my X column as London Millers, they need to get a psychologist or somebody in to sort of get to the bottom of what's happening, because it's up here. You know, there is some quality in that team, but it's just not coming through. And the injuries upon injuries for the same injury. What's going on there? You know, are they overtraining? What's the issue? There's just
No.
so many questions. So many questions.
There are. Yeah. It's Danny, obviously you worked last night, so we're not going to be coming to you for all the specific details because you weren't there, but also we're going to preview the Southampton game. But just your general thoughts on what you saw from the game itself and you feel about the club at the minute. Where do you feel the club is right now?
I was impressed it were 0-0 at half time, if I'm being honest. Because like you say, I had to work Wednesday night and couldn't get someone to cover my shift, so I couldn't go, unfortunately. But yeah, I just had a quick check on my phone from time to time, 0-0 at half time. Well, that's all right. Excuse me. And then it's just the same old feeling. I'm like, oh, Bristol have scored first. You know, that same sinking feeling again. And if I'm being completely honest, I was really, really surprised we actually got a goal back because how we've been playing recently. You know, quite impressed with that until I saw the quality of the goal on the highlights, and it's like actually we were very lucky to be back at 1-1. But the real cruncher, and I think this goes for every football fan out there, they won the game with the last kick, where we could have been talking about a similar situation to the Preston game, you know, where it's like it's not an improvement, but it's an improvement on results. But we're talking about another loss. And is that it's still one win in, what is it, 10?
Yeah.
One win in 10. And in that, there's 2 draws.
Yes.
So that's bad. That's bad. That's quite bad. Like I say, it's a really bad start. And if it is the worst start since 2004, it's a worse start, if that's a word, than the 16-17 season, which is the worst championship season on record. Like the only team that's beaten us for worst starts is Sheffield Wednesday, and that's the worst start in their history altogether. You know, it's just from the outside looking in on Wednesday, without the thrall of the game and being there, it's just not a good outlook, in my opinion.
No, it's not. John with a neutral look says, watching the game, the disappointing thing is it took until the first goal to go in before you even tried. Yeah, welcome to the sort of second half. Mick, just heads up, Jamie's now a fully qualified mental health first aider, so well done, Jamie. He says he's here for everybody. Thank you very much, Jamie. We started okay, Mick, and this is the frustrating thing. That first 10 minutes, I can't if we said it to each other, but I certainly thought in my head, well, this was good. This is a really positive start. We've put them under a bit of pressure. They didn't seem particularly comfortable on the ball most of the night, and I thought they're get-attable here. But it literally lasted 10 minutes, and then we petered out off against, at best, how we played against Preston, at worst, against others.
Yeah, we did. I said it on the post-match last night, and I stand by this. When we played Bristol City at New York Stadium last season, they beat us 3-1, and they were the worst team we played all season by a mile. They're going to go for that title again this season, because they were woeful, they were dreadful, and yet they still beat us. We've got absolutely zero confidence left. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. And last night was just a dagger through the heart in terms of any remaining confidence that any of the players have got. It's really worrying where we are. You know, with the injuries to Cohen Bramall and Tyler Blackett were bad enough, a big enough hit to the sort of the psychology, if you like, of the team, and then to concede the way that we did in the last minute, it's like somebody said on social media at some stage, kick somebody's black cat underneath a ladder. I think it was you, Joy. I can't remember, but if we didn't have bad luck, we wouldn't have any luck at all. So I'm not putting this down to luck, the position that we're in. I'm not, or bad luck, but I can't see how anybody can claim that it hasn't played a part in it. I just can't. I can't see how anybody could say that that's not the case, because, well, it's awful. But playing a team like Bristol City and not not maintaining some level of aggression and fight towards them for the whole 90 minutes is a testament, I think, to where the players are at mentally rather than anything else. And of course, you know, I mean, the crowd did the best to get the. Oh no, they didn't, did they? You know, I mean, I look, as supporters, we've got a role to play here. We have got a role to play. This is not the Middle Ages where we go somewhere and go, entertain me. And then if they don't entertain us, off with his head. Because essentially that is where we are at the moment as supporters. We're coming, we're paying our money, give me 3 points. Otherwise, I'm going to crucify you. And that's what's happening. And we turn up, and we're all as bad as each other. I'm not calling anybody out particularly, but we went there last night and everybody sat on their hands virtually for the whole of the game.
Until we scored, and then for 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. It's not good enough from us as supporters. It's not. The atmosphere was as bad as I have ever known it at a Rotherham game, ever. I can't get my head around it. The only I'm sure there's plenty of reasons, but, you know, it's like we've got a God-given right to win. That seems to be the attitude from the terraces, and it seems to be the attitude all over the playground that is social media. You know,
Let's play devil's advocate, though.
It's our responsibility to get behind the team, and we're not. All we're doing is slating them and slating them and slating them. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
To play devil's advocate, since the Norwich game, what have they given any fan to be anywhere near in not even a positive stance, in a neutral stance? Everything since that Norwich game has been a downhill trajectory, and it's not just been bad. There's been some woeful performances in there. It shouldn't be, but it is a two-way street. We're getting nothing from the play. We as fans are getting nothing from on the pitch at the moment.
Which is precisely
nothing, literally nothing.
Entertain me. Give me 3 points. I want my 3 points.
But it's not what it is, is it?
That's not how football works.
But it's not how it is, though. Against Leicester, we lost the game. But there was something there when the fans got behind the players, and it were good.
I get what you're saying. I understand that, and I do, and I'm kind of playing devil's advocate myself up to a point here, you know. But we have got a responsibility to supporters, and we're not taking that responsibility. All we're doing is just kicking them while they're down. We can see that they're down. We know that they're down. You know, none of them, not one of them in that 25-man squad and the backroom staff want to be there in the position that they're in. None of them, you know, but they are. Who's going to help them get out of it? Only them, by the looks of it. You know, we've got to support the team through thick and thin, and it's thin at the moment, very thin. You know, the performances are thin, and the number of players in the squad is thin and getting thinner, and we're just kicking them while we're down. That's how I feel. That's only my view, but I find it so frustrating and quite depressing, really. You know, I'm more depressed about the reaction of supporters than I am about the result, frankly, or as depressed. I am. It's just, I find it so depressing.
Fair enough. A few people. Sam Darby says there was nothing to try about. John S. We have the right to expect them to try. Maybe come on to that. Harry agrees with the Sam comment. John S. says he doesn't want 3 points. Again, just wants to see them trying. That's obviously the same comment. Apologies. John Henry says we're no different to any other fans. Sam Darby again just says in there as well. John Morell says it's expectation. I mentioned the Leicester game. He says you didn't expect anything against Leicester, so people are less upset. Dare I say it, Bristol at home, you expect a result. You expect something. You expect... Yeah. Joy, what are your thoughts on that? Because the Preston game, the atmosphere was very quiet as well. It isn't a new thing last night where it was just suddenly quiet. The atmosphere has died a little bit. Do you think it is... Well, do you think it's performance related to the performances sort of bleeding into the stands a little bit?
I mean, between a team and its fan base, it's give and take, isn't it? You know, I hear what you're saying, mate, but there's got to be something to cheer.
Yeah.
And they're not actually giving us an awful lot to cheer. That first 10 minutes, yeah, fine. Had Andre Green sorted his feet out, we might have been 1-0 up. I didn't understand why he just didn't chuck his body at the ball. It'd have gone in. But I'm lost for words because it's just so poor. It's just so bad. I try to be optimistic. I'm a glass half full person, but at the moment it's incredibly difficult. I'm going to change my name to Mona, I think, instead of Joy, because it would just fit in, with the zeitgeist at the moment. Because, like I say, I'm optimistic, but I can't hang my hat on anything at the moment. And the injuries are just, I agree with what people are saying. If there's effort on the pitch and we can see that they're trying and they're putting, 100% into it, then yeah, you'll back the lads. It becomes, we get that them against us scenario, don't we? Because we are little Rotherham, and we're fighting against the bigger teams in the Championship, and we get that battle, we get that aspect of the game, but we've not even got that. That's lost. That's totally gone. And we've always had that to a degree, and we haven't even got that at the moment, have we?
No, we haven't. And again, to play a bit of devil's advocate, Danny, this isn't the first time this has happened under Matt Taylor. We were having very, very similar conversations post Millwall almost a year ago, and he managed to turn it round. Does this feel to you very, very similar to that situation? Or is this very different because of the transfer window signs? How does it compare? And can you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
For me, the main difference, it seems to be the squad's approach to the games. I don't think Matt Taylor approaches a game any differently. It seems to be how the squad approaches, getting at teams. Because from the games that I've seen this season, and from bits and pieces of the Bristol City game, was so standoffish with teams. And, we've sort of come to expect almost the Rotherham ways to get in the faces.
Our identity almost.
Yeah, and when we were playing the high press, and it worked so efficiently because teams just didn't like it. They didn't like us being that close to them. Whereas this season, especially around in the midfield, we just seem just to stand and let the other team have the ball and just pass it round us without really trying to get a footing or anything of the sort. I'm not going to mention the attacking threat because that almost seems non-existent at the minute. And can we please stop having centre-back shoot because they always seem to get injured straight afterwards. So it seems to be a mix of being far too standoffish, which again plays into what Joyce said about how there's very little to cheer about because we're not at the teams. We just sort of just stand there and let them do the thing. And it's not really an inspiring thing to see a team just stand off the opposition. And I don't think we've got a lot to cheer for with attacking threats as well, because I think we had 2 shots on target against Bristol City.
That's an improvement.
It's an improvement, but to say we've gone from having quite a lot of shots on target last season to this season, after the Norwich game, having an average of about 3 a game on target, with efforts at goals still below 10. It seems to be not connecting properly. And Matt Taylor has put on record that he's trying to sort the back line out before going to the front line. And it's like, that's the basic of football, isn't keep the opposition out. It's to score more goals than the opposition. And I mean, I know it's not a working formula just to hope you score more than the opposition. But at the same time, you need to address both issues and not just focus on one, because if you focus on sorting out the back line, which is a very big issue with the amount of injuries that are still there, you lose focus on what the goal is, which is actually, like, pardon the pun, you lose focus on what the goal is, which is the other goal.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's too many things not going our way, which sounds like a very childish comment, but the things that can be sorted, shooting practice for one, with what you're saying about Andre Green, if that rings true. I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments mentioning why Sam Nombe is on the bench. Switch it. I don't know what Jordan Hugel's contract situation is, whether it's a certain appearance record per a number of appearances per season. I don't know. That's maybe why he's still starting. Get that out of the way and then change it. But then is it too late? You know, it almost feels like like I can't remember where Scott mentioned it earlier. It almost seems like 4-3-3 suddenly not working. You know, and against Norwich it did. You know, and we've signed a few of these players to have adaptability, but we always seem very linear now with just sticking to 4-3-3 and then switching to 5-3-2 because we had to. Whereas at times 5-3-2 did actually work. You know, it didn't work very proficiently because, you know, we don't have the bodies at the back at the minute, but just switching it up. And Taylor fielded, I believe, more or less the same team apart from Cafu, which was the losing team against Cardiff. So it's like one change, and it's like
Peltier money.
Oh, Peltier as well, but that was sort of. So it's just like there isn't enough, in my opinion. I mean, there's only a certain amount you can do between Saturday and Wednesday. Don't get me wrong, right? But he has to see that it's not working and that it's going wrong on the pitch. You know, and that's the point where you go, we'll try this. If we lose again, you know, it's still fair enough. But to keep going and repeating the same thing over and over again is like, I think it's the definition of insanity. You know, like nice Far Cry 3 reference for anyone who gets that one. So it's the hardest job in football at the minute. But at the same time, it's frustrating as hell being a fan watching it unfold in front of you. And I think that's why everyone's feathers are ruffled in the stands. And for some people, that resorts to the booing at the end of the game. Yeah,
we will talk about that in a minute. Few comments. Joseph said, well, I mentioned, come on, this mentions why Sam Nomber on the bench all the time. Martin Hill says, predictably, the Taylor out banner is being waved in certain quarters. Increasingly, it looking like some justification going to Mike. Do we think the players are playing for the manager? Interesting. We'll make on to that. Matt Squires says, chronic injuries, fan unrest, poor performances. I hope we turn it around, but can't help feeling it feels like one of those seasons. Hoping he's wrong. Mate, Cafu came back in yesterday, and I think I wasn't the only Rotherham fan would think, oh, yes, Cafu's in. He's going to make a difference. It's going to be really good, this. But hit him in a position. And again, this might just be me. When Cafu has been really good, what we've seen is that Rathbone is the furthest forward of the three central midfielders, starting the press with Hugill, and Cafu's a bit deeper, making those late runs, dealing with the ball. This time, Cafu was the furthest of the three. And it didn't suit him. It didn't suit him. And not only did it not suit Cafu, I mentioned last few weeks that Rathbone's not having an impact on the game. Rathbone can't have an impact in the game when you shackle him like that. You need to let him run riot and just go cause an absolute nuisance. And you know what Rathbone does? Sets the tone, and we've got nobody to set the tone in the press at the minute.
I thought Cafu did his best to sort of press, then fanning about with the back like they did for quite a lot of the game. Unfortunately, we're doing it on his own. There was no assistance from certainly from Fred. I thought Fred was very poor last night. Didn't get involved in the game at all. I think he left when he was out on the left-hand side. He left Colin Bramall exposed a few times, and then only when they switched over, he left Dexter exposed quite a few times until the last sort of 10 minutes when he really got involved and really became aggressive and then started winning the ball and causing lots of problems. It didn't impact the game the way you would have wanted him to, Cafu. But it's his first game back after injury, you know, so I suppose that begs the question again, if that's the case, why is he playing that more forward role within that midfield and getting involved in the press? Who knows? Who knows the answer to that? That's not why we lost the game, though, is it? You know? No.
Might have been.
No.
It's a close game, isn't it? You know, about fine margins and all that.
Yeah. I think, all right.
No, not buying it.
I'm not buying it, no.
Okay, fair enough. Phil says, and a few people mentioned this, says Green was very poor, not a wide play. I thought it was quite harsh on Andre Green.
I'm really surprised at that. I've seen two or three people say it. Hugely surprised when you look at...
Other than his chance, I thought he did okay.
It was... and it was Gav, I think Gav Grundy that mentioned it, they've not tracked him back. for me, he was constantly tracking back. When he was outside of the ground in that second half, he was constantly back helping Dexter. It was Fred on the other side that really didn't get involved. He didn't appear to want to get involved in any of the defensive duties. I'm really surprised. I thought Green had a decent game. I really did, but all about opinions, isn't it?
Yeah. IFC wants to know thoughts on the Rathbone contract talks breaking. I think there's been a report in the Advertiser that there's been, I think, a pause in negotiations. I think is one of the phrases they've used. Anybody any thoughts?
Bigger fish to fry at the minute, aren't we?
Yeah. With the way it's going at the minute, I'm not really surprised. It's one of them where it's like, we'll see where we are end of the season, which I totally get, to be fair.
Yeah. And then the game, let's talk about the goals a minute, Joy. The first goal, I feel bad putting on this in a little bit, but the first goals come from Tyler Blackett backing off, but it initially came from Grant Hall trying to win a header that, well, the ball wasn't there. I don't really know what Grant Hall was looking at, and that's put Tyler Blackett on the back foot. It's put everybody else back foot, and then they've scored a goal. It's a great finish, but it feels a really soft goal to concede. There were 2 or 3 stop points for that goal for me.
Yeah, I think you could say the same for both goals, to be honest. I mean, they were both excellent finishers. And, it just seemed inevitable. I mean, when they brought on 2 strikers, and what did we bring on? A defender and a central midfielder. It's the mindset, isn't it? It just seems so negative. I don't know whether that's Matt Taylor, whether it's this availability of the staff on the bench or the players on the bench or whatever. We just don't seem to be very positive. And I think that sort of transfers on the I mean, you've talked there, you bring somebody on Grant Hall who missed an header because he's not, up to speed, is he?
Not played.
He's been on the pitch, 10 minutes? That? You know what I mean? What can you expect? I mean, Blackett won man of the match, didn't he? And let's be honest, he's probably been one of the better performers in the last few games. And but he can't be here, there, and everywhere covering for everybody. He's lost his partner Humphreys. He gets Peltier, then Hall, and and then he gets himself unfortunately injured after scoring his first goal. Couldn't write it, could you? Couldn't make it up.
No, they can't.
I mean, when they scored, I think I put inevitable, and then we came back into it. But let's be honest, we didn't put any efforts in, did we? Until they scored. Why couldn't we have played? And then we up the pace. And as soon as we up the pace, we look at a little bit more of a handful. We score, and then it drops off again. We had the first 10 minutes, we had that 5 minutes after they scored till we scored, and that was it. But it looks like we're not putting this passing about at the back and this trying to find the midfield players. We haven't got the capacity of staff to do that. The players on the pitch don't have those skill sets to do that. But if they're pressing, if they're playing at pace, then we do cause difficulties for team. It gives them something else to think about. But other than that, that, like we've said, they just pass around us and through us, and I don't know whether it's, like I said, whether it's the staff that are available, the players that are available, but I go back to the fact that the subs were a bit meh, weren't they?
They were, yeah. No, I agree, and I agree, and that's funny, Danny, because last year, almost a year when he took over, we were praising Matt Taylor because we were trying to hold on to a game at Stoke, and he brought 2 strikers on, and there were other incidents where he's making positive substitutions, and he was on bench. You got Kelly on bench and Eves on bench. It was crying out for a little bit of something different, especially at 0-0. We'll talk about Appiah in a minute. It was excellent when he came on, but it was 10 minutes too late. Nombe was 10 minutes too late, and this is not hindsight. I was sat there at the time saying this needs changing, and it just seems a change from last season from Matt Taylor.
I mean, we've been saying for quite a while, a lot of the time the subs are too late, and like you say, everyone seems to see it from the stands before there's the active reaction from the bench. And there've been times where a player's been warming up and it's like, oh, such and such is coming on, he might have a do, and then they go and sit down for 10 minutes, and then go have to go and warm up again, and then come on. And it's like, if you wanted him on then, you know, that's when the reaction needs to be. You can't wait. You have to make that decision there and then. But it almost seems like the decision making is low on confidence as well. It seems.
Yeah. No. Is that me that's gone or Danny that's gone?
Looks like Danny's gone.
Danny's gone. Was he? We'll really get Danny back, hopefully. Yeah. Race Medley says we only looked threatening when Appiah came on. Yeah, we did. But then we scored. We scored not out of nothing because it was a decent finish. Keeper should have done miles better. But we scored a goal. Tyler Blackett deserved his goal because he's been brilliant. And it was really good. Suddenly the stadium came alive. The team came alive. There was just that feeling that, God, we're going to go on and do this. We're going to go on and win this game. And then the rug, to say it got pulled out from under his feet is probably a bit of an understatement.
Yeah.
But for that 5-minute period, that was one of the best we've played in recent times. But it was just too short a time.
Yeah, it was. We just didn't keep it going. And I have no explanation. I can't think of a possible explanation as to why that's happened. I genuinely can't. Just like, you know, I can't think of an explanation for some of the poor performances of the last few away games. There is no rhyme or reason for it. There just isn't. It's not a lack of talent. In my view, it's not a lack of talent. I can't see an argument to say that it is. It has to be the psychological approach of the players or the state of mind that they're in at the moment. I don't understand. I don't, you know, I can't give an explanation for it. But yeah, we could have gone on and won that game probably quite comfortably. But like you said, then you get the rug pulled fairly and squarely from under your feet. First of all, Colin Bramall going off, which is a worry, particularly given his pace. If that's a hamstring tweak, that's going to be a problem. And then Tyler Blackett, who's been immense these last few games, the only player really, with the exception of Victor, to come out of any of the performances with sort of credit in the bank, is now likely to be out for months from what Matt Taylor's said. Maybe that'll be revised once they've had an assessment on him, but it's just two more defenders. We get two back and we lose two more, you know, and the two that are back are not fully fit. It's just
You're also not left-sided either. That puts us way out of balance.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just I don't know what to say about it. But yeah, we'll blame Matt Taylor for it.
Always. Yeah. Let's go back to something Matt Taylor said to Paul Davis last night. I've got to cover this because it's been picked up by a few people. Aaron says, you see, everybody watching can see Mick getting really happy about this next point. Aaron says, what do we make about Matt Taylor having a dig at fans booing? Now, let's put this into proper context. I'll give you the exact quote from Paul Davis so we can discuss it properly. Paul Davis, or I assume Paul Davis or a journalist, asked him about what they thought some people booing at the end. To be fair, the boos weren't that loud. There were some boos, but it wasn't that loud. But Matt Taylor's response was, if we don't play well, then it's justified. But with no disrespect, I don't think people will be booing the players and myself if they knew the magnitude of that moment. I assume that's the Blackett injury, I assume. It's incredible with the effort the players put in to get a little reception like that does not make them feel any better. Joy, this is the age-old argument, an age-old question. Should fans boo? They pay the money, blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts on, first of all, being unhappy with Matt Taylor's response to that? Does that get you great at all? Because it's upset some people.
I think as soon as you roll out the trope without being disrespectful means you're going to be subsequently disrespectful. Doesn't it? As soon as you say that, you know that the next thing's going to be disrespectful. So, I mean, what can you say? I mean, he's on a hiding to nothing, isn't he, with responding to that, I suspect. You know, I mean, there's the two arguments, isn't it? You pay your money, you're entitled to your opinion, and if you boo, you boo. I mean, I personally don't. You know, I think it defeats the object of being a supporter and a fan, personally. But hey ho, what, you know, it's, as we all say, it's about opinions, isn't it? And yeah, you know, I mean, there were two, like we said, we had the rug pulled from under us on 2 occasions. Blackett scores, Blackett goes down, Blackett goes off, Bristol score. It's a load of B's there, isn't it? And ends up with a B as well, doesn't it? But yeah, you know, so you know, you see the guy that's been probably your best player, as you say, other than the keeper for the last few games, go off. You know, that's going to impact on the rest of the team, isn't it? And then they literally go up the other end and score after you've obviously lost your left back as well. And I mean, what can you say? The lads, I mean, you know, I'm sure they were absolutely, totally and utterly gutted. The players and the management at the end of that game. And it's like, how did they drag themselves up to play Southampton on Saturday? And then there's a few people that boo. You know, it's just, you know, just adds to the circumstances, doesn't it? You know, you already feeling a bag of shite, and then your fans are booing you as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Danny should be back with us, hopefully. A few comments on the, because booing is always a divisive thing. Mohammed says, not saying fans should boo, but the players didn't play very well. Mike the Miller says, it's never a good sign when the manager appears to be having a go at some of the players. Sarah Ogden says, I think not applauding is more effective than booing. She dislikes booing. It doesn't help the team confidence in her opinion. John Morell says, I think it's nail, and the second part, pay your money, you're entitled to voice your opinion. It's probably not the smartest thing for Taylor to say, even though he's probably right. He should know that comment was never going to be understood. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with Matt Taylor to make, that he just says he's honest. He says what he thinks, and he's very open and honest about it. But what he probably should have said is that I understand the fans' frustrations. I could have said that. That's it. He didn't need to go any further. I understand the fans' frustration. Then there's no negativity. It's because he does. We all understand each other. We all understand why we're all frustrated. It's just that extra little bit, like Joyce said, no disrespect, that gets people's backs up instantly. I just think he's not thought it through, sadly.
Yeah, you're probably right. The childish part of me finds the whole situation incredibly amusing. The manager and the team get vilified, and as soon as one of them fights back, all of a sudden it's, you can't say that. It's ridiculous. I mean, please, if you're upset by that, I don't know what to say. Genuinely, yeah, you can, if you want to boo. It does nobody at all other than yourself any good. If you want to do it, do it. But please, don't start telling the manager he shouldn't be in it. He should lose his job and his livelihood, and then get offended when he gets face on because you've booed. I mean, really? You know, we're supposed to be adults here.
Some of us.
And some people will deliberately take what he said out of context. You know, and I'm not saying Paul Davis has done this, and he's clarified on social media that he didn't do this, and he's clarified the question that he asked. But people will take it out of context quite deliberately just to be offended and upset by it, despite the fact that probably the self-same people have been telling him he should lose his job and his livelihood. You know, without no disrespect, but you should be out of a job, mate. I mean, please, come on. Let's grow up. Yeah. Okay. Oh, is it just me? Am I being a bit out there and a bit sort of?
It sadly did have shades back to Stubbs. It did not that bad, obviously, because that was a stupid Alan Stubbs moment. But it had shades of just don't. He didn't need to say what he said. He could have just left it at one line, and nobody would have said a thing. We won't be talking about it.
Do we want a manager and a team and a set of players are going to trot out the take it one game at a time cliche and all these other cliches after, one after the other, actually not saying anything at all? Or do we want one that's going to answer the question honestly? Which do you want?
Yeah.
And if that honesty upsets you, that's your problem.
I'll be honest with you. I'm with you on this, to be honest with you. But I can see the other side. I can certainly see why people have thought it's not necessary. But we're arguing over a conversation when we should be talking about football.
Well,
Danny,
I'll just chip in and say I
Yeah,
agree
very quickly,
with
Danny.
this one.
very quickly.
I agree with Meg.
There
And
you
I
go.
also like the comment earlier about my internet pulling a hamstring. That actually tickled me. That were really good. Who said it? John, of course it
John,
was. Right, fair play on that one, John. I like that.
Yeah. John Morrell, you want a manager who doesn't create news stories out of nothing.
We haven't.
Well, he has.
Everybody else has created a news story out of it.
Yeah,
I
but
think,
if he
I think
didn't
you'll find
say
the person
that,
who's created the news story is Paul Davis by asking him the question about the fans booing.
But the bottom line is,
anyway,
you know, you don't jump on bandwagon. God.
Oh dear.
Anyway, I understand I think we've covered that as much as we want to cover it, really. Positive though, Joy, and I think it is a positive. Arvin Appiah, 2 games in a row, he's come on as sub and made a real impact. He was such a bright spot when he came on. He's got to start on Saturday for me.
I agree. You know, we've got to have something going forward, and he offers something, whatever that something is. He's got the pace, he's got the mobility. It's the fact that you need to get the ball to him, and that pass by Rathbone was exquisite. And then his cutback for the goal was excellent as well. You know, it was I thought it was a really well worked goal. You know, it nearly didn't happen because he blasted it straight at the keeper. But you know, hey, let's not go there. But yeah, I mean, we've got to have a bit of positivity, and you know, I agree. Appiah has got to start, and let's, you know, we've got to shake it up. We're going to Southampton. We're not expected to win. We're on a hiding to nothing. Obviously, we'll be playing in black just so that I don't have to wear a black armband because I'm going along with 1,000 others or 999 others. Probably thinking, are we mad going down to Southampton on Saturday? But hey, you know, we've not played them since 1966. That's my argument. At least I was alive in 1966. But you know, we've just got to shake it up. You know, we can't go as we have done for the last 2 or 3 games with the same, basically the same format, the same players. Well, we might be the same players, but it's definitely not the same format. We need to shake it up a bit. You know, do we drop Hugill and put Nombe and Appiah up? Who's going to be in defence? We have no idea yet. Who's fitting up to be?
I'll say, everyone put your hands up. Who's available for defence?
Yeah, take your boots down on Saturday, lads. You know, you might get a game. I mean, I'm assuming Reven will start because, you know, he's the only left-sided player we've got, isn't he? From what I can work out.
I think so, yeah.
So,
That's registered.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be fun on Saturday, isn't it? You know, we're either going to be, you know, upset the apple cart and, you know, do something that is really unexpected, or we're going to get blasted.
Yeah. Sadly, the latter, I think. But anyway, we'll do predictions later. We'll finish maybe on this point, but to this type of conversation, Mike the Miller says, Mick saying fans should grow up. He says perhaps maybe a grown-up conversation around Taylor's future. I'm not advocating for his sacking, but it can't go on much longer like this. Mick, I'll let you reply on that one and sort of say, Matt Taylor, this start's been a terrible start, worse since 2004, as we've mentioned. Yeah. How long do you... First of all, I don't think anybody on this podcast is saying Matt Taylor out. I don't think we're anywhere near that kind of situation. Sadly, I haven't done these conversations because of how bad the start is. Is there a point in your mind where you sort of go, well, we're nearly a quarter way through the season now, almost. We've got 5 points, 4 points just to relegation. Are we approaching a point where you're sort of thinking, if this not because it's not just points, it's performances as well. There's no light at the minute, is there?
No, there isn't, and Mike's absolutely right. At some stage, that conversation is going to be had. Should this run continue? This run of performances, but I'll throw in the old excuse, you know, about the treatment table. It's absolutely bursting at the seams. We can't put a first 11 out. I haven't put a first 11 out. I don't think since probably played Lincoln pre-season. You know, that's the situation we're in. And now after a home defeat with 2 further players lighter, 2 crucial players to the way that we play. So to judge him based on that, I think is harsh. Yes, he's got a lot of learning to do, and yes, at the end of it, it may not be up to the job. But at the moment, I don't see how you can judge. I think the performance levels and the mental state, for the want of a better term, of the players is a huge issue. That is his job, as has been rightly pointed out previously, to deal with. But when every time he tries to lift them up, they get booted back down again, plus a bit more each time. It's an almost impossible job, and he can't change personnel because the personnel aren't there to change. So being reasonable, I find it very difficult to be able to judge him on what he's capable of. So
to come back, he's signed. A few people mentioned that he's signed these injury-prone players.
Well, yeah,
I don't. That's not. I think. By the way,
hindsight's a fantastic thing, isn't it? Yeah. We've signed those players because they're the players that we can afford. I think we've been through this many times, haven't we? And they are quality players, but yes, they do get injured and they are knocking on a bit because that's what we can afford. We're not like our neighbours down in S6 who, spend money like it's going out of fashion and won a game all season. Sack the manager and go in the same way as many other clubs have gone by overspending. That's not us. But the payoff for that is the fact that we have to play. We can only buy the players that we can afford, and these are the players that we've got. So yeah, they may be injury prone, but when they are fit, the quality. But we're talking about Colin Bramall out. We're talking about Hakeem Adoffin out. We're talking about Cameron Humphreys out. 3 key players. Jamie Lindsay out. None of whom are old. None of whom the ones that we bought to try and shore up the defence or anything else. The half of the injury table is either players that were already here or players who are reasonably young. So again, it doesn't necessarily hold that much water, that argument. I can't judge him at the moment. We can't judge him because he hasn't had a full team all season. But I do understand the payoff at the end of this season should we stay up financially. So Tony Stewart's got some thinking to do should this run continue. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? I don't think it's the right decision personally. Absolutely not. And I don't, it's not a conversation I particularly want to be involved with. I don't think we should be allowing it to, or not allowing it, compounding the discussions on it personally.
We won't, but we will. A few people mentioned on social media, Tony Stewart definitely won't sack him because he's in a 3-year contract. Alan's sacked 3 months. That's the same. So it's Tony Stewart's dollar at the end of the day, and as mentioned, this is the humour last night, Meg. It's Tony Stewart's dollar that's at risk if we go down. Joy, just very quickly, I'll go to now your thoughts on the people suggesting it's time for a change, just briefly on that.
I think I'm in the same camp as you, Mick. I think you've got to look at Tony Stewart's records thus far. It didn't, kick out the previous manager when we were in similar situations. I think he was burnt by that season when we had 1, 2, 3, 4 managers, wasn't it? And I think from that, that season when Warnock kept us up, I think from that, Tony Stewart has sort of nailed his colours to the mast. It doesn't strike me as someone who's particularly trigger happy anymore. And like you say, Taylor's sounded a 3-year contract. Is talks about a project, talks about a long-term project, and if Tony Stewart has bought into that, which would the fact that he's put his hand into his pocket this year would indicate that he has bought into it, then it would seem silly, in my personal opinion, to chuck it all away after 10 games this season.
I agree. Danny, just very quickly, same question.
I think a lot of the fans will have a game in the mind where it's like enough's enough if nothing changes. Like I've seen people mention about it being the Wednesday game. I've seen people mention even Southampton as well. But for Matt Taylor's record before, how he had this rough run and turned it round, I think I'm in the camp of a bit more time if he turns it round. But if we're still this shocking by, say,
next international break,
potentially,
what's that, end of November?
Yeah, I was just about to say end of November. To be fair, around that time, if there's little to no improvement and we're still in the relegation places, quite a fair whack behind everybody else, then I think Tony Stewart will really be looking around.
Hypothetical, John says, if Warnock agreed to come in tomorrow, would you make it? Would you make the change? Would anybody say yes to
that? I personally wouldn't know.
No, I'm not yet. No.
He's going to Wednesday anyway, isn't he?
So he can do what he's always dreamed of and run them into the ground.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Before we mention the other game, the Southampton game, I just want to quickly mention a few bits about the town. I think what we don't do enough on this podcast is promote the town a little bit. So there's two bits of things I want to mention. I first want to mention the ratings at Clifton Park, because I think that's really good for the town. Mick, I'm going to very quickly come to you, but for the town to have a potentially massive music venue in the centre of the town is brilliant. Very quickly, because we're running out of time, but very quickly, this is quite a potentially big moment for the town.
Yeah, 100%. 20,000 tickets, I think, is the number that's going on sale, and it'll be a wonderful night. They are absolutely fantastic live. But yeah, you're right. If it goes well, then there's potential for further concerts. It can only be a good thing. And I just want to start a campaign now to make sure that we get LPMC on the. We get Lee McMahon on the in the backing, what they call them, support bands.
Support bands. Yeah.
That's a shout, that
But yeah, tickets, like you said, comes on Friday. If you fancy it, buy tickets. That's July next year. And for all your boxing fans out there, I want to shout out to Junaid Boston, who is fighting on the undercard of the Warrington. Who's Warrington fighting? Warrington Wood fighting Sheffield Arena. Junaid Boston is a very, very highly rated boxer, who's a Rotherham fan. So if you want to support a Rotherham boxer, I think he's be second to last on Saturday at the Arena. So if you go in and enjoy it and support Rotherham fans, something good come out of town. When it's not good about football, we'll find something else good to talk about. Danny, we only got Southampton on Saturday. 6 away with defeats in a row, 19 without a win, 9 wins in a million, games away from home. That's Saturday.
I'll say the same that I said on the Southampton podcast. It's either going to go one of two ways. We are going to get absolutely battered, or we'll somehow win 1-0 and it's going to come off Jordan Hugel's backside. There'll be no in between, and I'm really leaning on the fact that we might get battered. I mean, I said to them it'll be 4-0 to them, and they were shocked.
That was before Bristol City game.
That was before the Bristol City game, and they were shocked. They were quite kind, to be fair. They said, oh, we might win 1-0, 2-0, and it's like, nah, I've got you guys down for 4. We could see a repeat, and a Newcastle Sheffield United just switched.
Oh, this is the kind of positivity we are surely normally the Happy Clappers podcast, but it's not working at the minute. Nick,
what
is it written for a stupid Rotherham somehow win, or can you see this being a really, really long afternoon?
I can see it a long afternoon no matter what, even if we're winning 1-0. If we're winning 1-0, it'll be a longer afternoon, won't it? Previously, I don't want to tempt fate. Russell Martin doesn't tend to do very well against us.
True.
He's got some wins, he's got some losses, but he doesn't tend to get his, get his own way. It's an ideal opportunity for the team to get a little bit of confidence inside them, because they've got nothing to lose. They go in there already having lost the game as far as everybody else is concerned. you know. So that's the motivation for them, really, to go and have a pop. You know as well as I do, I think we all know, teams that are managed by Russell Martin and similar managers, if you get in their faces and have a go and they don't like it and they can't deal with it, they can't deal with it. So, and Southampton have proved that many times already this season. So that for me has to be the game plan. We haven't used that game plan for much of the season. The only time we have, probably arguably, is against Leicester and Norwich, and it was a success against Norwich and could arguably have been a success against Leicester and should have been a success against Blackburn. You know, all very similar teams who play in a very similar way. So, yeah, I mean, the clever money, if there is such a thing, is on us getting absolutely tated, isn't it? You know?
Yes.
But,
sadly.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see which team turns up. There's going to be changes. There's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Joy, this is the way I'm looking at it, is that Southampton have got an excellent team. Southampton are better than us, man for man. They are. There's no two ways about it. But they've shown that they can be got at. There's teams this season that have put them under a lot of pressure. They've really, really struggled. The way I see it is, if we sit back and try and soak up pressure, we're going to lose 2 or 3-0. If we go and attack and put pressure on them, we may well still lose 2 or 3-0. But their defence has already shown that they are not perfect. So if we put them under a bit of pressure, there is something there that you can maybe exploit. I know they're a good run, but you've got to put these under pressure and see what happens.
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, we're down for a battering, aren't we, by everybody? On everybody's acca, Southampton to win. We've just got to go for it, haven't we? We've just got to go for it. There's no other option. Whether we get battered 3-0 by sitting back and playing like we have been all negatively recently, or, let's go. Let's have a go. And still get battered 3-0, but at least we've had a go.
I can take that. I can accept that.
Yeah. And I think most of us could. I mean, if we put a performance in of some sort, rather than just, give up with a whimper like we have done recently at Huddersfield and another at Cardiff, let's just go for it. Come on.
Yeah,
we've
not been good enough defensively. Good, sorry.
Yeah, well, we've got no defence anyway, have we? So,
Well, exactly that as well.
Doesn't really matter, does it? So, therefore, if we've got no defence, the best form of defence is attack.
It is.
So
exactly.
let's put some attacking people on there. Let's get Appiah on there. Let's get Nombe on there. Let's just go for it. Let Kelly have a go, because he's an instinctive striker. Give him a little pop. Maybe Eves will get one off his ponytail. Who knows?
It could be 7-all, because they ain't got a defence either, have they? So
no. A couple of things on here. Mike Miller says, just afraid if we go 1-0 early, how far will the heads drop? If we go to 1-0 early, the heads will drop to the floor instantly. That's where they are mentally, the players at the minute, I think. Chris Taylor says, we don't have a plan to win, only not to lose, but we do that anyway. Phil and Mike said Matt Taylor's not going to change. He's gone for it in the past, Danny. We've been negative this season, but this idea that Matt Taylor is a negative coach is way, way off the mark. We saw some really positive performances and setups and things last season. He has got it in him. He is a positive coach, but we just need to see it this season.
Yeah, and Matt Taylor, we've talked about substitutions before, but Matt Taylor's bread and butter is actually to bring strikers on.
Yeah.
As your changes, and he very rarely brings defenders on unless it's really called for. So yeah, I don't think he's not to put a swing on things, but I think Paul Warne was more of a defensive minded coach, because he always brought defenders on, and we're seeing the same issues at Derby that we spoke about. How he brings the defender on, it upsets the back line, and then they'll concede. But Taylor's not like that. He only makes defensive changes if and when he needs to. But I think he'd much rather bring on Appiah, Eves. We've seen Kelly come on as well. and we've talked about it before. They're just a lot of the time too late. So I don't think he's a negative or defensive-minded coach. I think he just finds himself in a negative situation.
Yeah. Mike says 1 or 2 performances, positive performances over 40 matches. There were plenty of positive performances last season. They weren't consecutively, but there were plenty of positive performances last season under Matt Taylor. Even some of those we lost or drew. I'd have to go back and look at the fixtures, but we were raving about him last season, you know. We were absolutely raving about him. 10 games ago, ignore these 10 games, we were raving about Matt Taylor and what he did last season. So I understand we're all upset and angry, but let's not forget the previous games because there has been a lot of positivity. So I know it's hard. Mick, what changes are you making? Let's go personal. Obviously, we don't know the defence. There's no point talking about defence because we've no idea. But going forward, for me, I start Nombe and Appiah because I thought Nombe had his best period that he's had for us, and Appiah was fantastic. So those are our 2 musts for me.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any doubt about that. I definitely that gives us some pace up front. Appiah was excellent when he's come in the last 2 games. You know, and he's quite clearly got the ability to change a game. Cafu hopefully will be a little bit more on it now. He's got a little bit more fitness under his belt. Maybe we swap Cafu and Ollie Rathbone around in that midfield. For me personally, based on performances the other night, Fred might be the one that drops out, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Defensively, like you say, we ain't got a clue. There's absolutely no point. But it definitely needs a change up top, in my view. So we'll have to wait and see, won't we, what Matty Taylor decides. But Appiah, for me, has to start.
Agreed. Just finish, Joy, on that on selection. Is anything else you want to see changed, or formation, or anything else you want to see changed for Saturday?
Well, it's difficult without knowing what personnel we're going to have, isn't it? You know. Yeah. I mean, I agree with what both of you and Mick have said about Appiah and Nombe and swapping Cafu and Rathbone around. We want Rathbone at his ratting best, don't we? To have some sort
especially against them.
Opportunity. Yeah, exactly. You know, Teehee, fine, don't have a problem with that. Cafu, not a problem. Stroke Lucas, not a problem. You know, that picks itself because we haven't got an inordinate amount of midfielders available either, have we? Let's be brutally honest. We just seem to have a surfeit of attacking players that don't seem to get on the pitch. So that's the area that I think, you know, is likely to be tweaked.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go through some predictions. Mick, 2-0 win.
I kind of backed myself into a corner with my 2-0 win predictions.
You have a little bit.
Why not? I'll go for it.
Pen stop working. You're like a genius if we win 2-0.
I think on awards night at the end of the season, we should have an award for most ridiculous prediction of the season, because I'm putting my name forward now for a nomination.
Yeah. Imagine if we win. I've gone 3-0 to Southampton. I went on to the show. That's my prediction. I'm not positive. Danny,
I'm sticking with what I said on the Southampton podcast. 4-0 to them.
0-4.
I think is my first predicted loss of the season,
and it's a big one. Joy, anything positive?
I'm going to go. I think I'm going to say we'll get a goal.
Okay,
we're going to get a goal. So at least one to Rotherham, but I can't see us winning. So I'll say 3-1 to Southampton.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
The problem I have is that we are unlikely to score more than one away at Southampton, and we're not going to keep a clean sheet. So best case scenario is probably a draw, but we'll see. Phil says 3-0. I assume this is Southampton. RUFC says 4-1 to Southampton. John says 6-1 to Southampton. Mike says Mick's crazy to predict the Rotherham win. Scott Kent says 5 or 6-0. I assume these are all to Southampton. Chris Tether Powerman says 3-0. Saran Sukumar with a bit of positivity. 2-2 with a Tom Eaves brace. Can you imagine? Oh,
imagine.
Yoza says 5-1 with an Adams hat trick. John S 4-3. Do you know what? I'd almost take a 4-3 loss because that means we would have had a proper goal, wouldn't we? If it ended up being 4-3. Dave Lawton says 4-0. John S obviously is a South Coaster, and he mentioned that their fans are not particularly happy. So if you can get ahead of, much like we did against Southampton, if you can get ahead of some of these teams who have big home support, they can find themselves under a bit of pressure. And again, Russ Martin teams have not dealt with pressure very well in the past. So you've got to try and exploit that. We won't. We'll sit back. We'll lose 3-0, but we all know what we want to see. Fish off. Jamie's with you, Mick. Jamie's with you. 2-1 to the Millers.
Nice,
not alone. And so is Neil.
Come on, Neil.
Finish on that.
We'll
Anything else?
Crying to our beer together.
Anything else we need to mention? Is there anything Rotherham related, positive related that you can possibly think of to finish us off on anybody?
The 31st minute's applause was excellent for Josh Vickers last night. I'm hugely impressed with that. Credit to the referee as well.
Yeah.
For stopping the game and joining in, which was excellent. That's. I thought that was very good.
Yeah, it was. They raised. I think the club said they've raised about 750 quid or something like that. For the care. I can't remember. I haven't got it in front of me, which is bad of me. But we've raised a lot. The club have raised a lot of money, which is really, really good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for being with us. We've got a question. Who's the ref? Chris Tether there. We have the referee of John Busby. I can't. Now that name does ring a bell, sadly.
Yes.
If you want to fill time, I can have a look at his record if you like.
It doesn't. It's not. I don't. I mean, I don't have a good memory of any referee, but we'll.
Are we commenting on MT's year in charge at all?
We've got a break coming up, Joy, which we could perhaps see if he'll come on and discuss it with us.
We'll come back to that, Joy, but I just want to mention John Busby. There is a reason, John Busby. We've already had an apology from him this season.
Lord.
He was the referee from the Stoke game that sent Caffrey off. John Morel, go on.
I'm going to be petitioning for that game to be replayed.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm a Blackburn game.
Yeah,
I reckon we should have that Barnsley game replayed as well.
Well, that's not good. I mean, I agree with that. I know he's going to extend the season by three games at least, but injustice, it needs to be dealt with.
John wants to know what you thought of the ref last night with him not giving a penalty to Bristol City. I haven't watched this back, so I don't want to watch last night back. Have you seen it? Seen the incident in the first half?
I haven't seen it, no. And that's not me putting my hands over my eyes and pretending I'm not there. I genuinely didn't see. I didn't see what that was. So I thought it was all right.
Yeah, it was all right. Some poor moments, but it was nothing to speak about.
No.
Yeah. Anything? Yeah. Matt Till's here in charge. Have you got? Do you want to mention anything? Anything?
Just one more thing. What's happened to this time wasting Larkin adding time on?
It not exist.
The thing that's going to be carried on all season.
Yeah, don't exist.
We let a player, one of their players, go off the pitch, and we stopped the game while he changed his boots off the pitch. It's ridiculous. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah. How would you rate Matt Taylor's? We're going an hour 10. We're running really long. Rate Matt Taylor's first year in charge out of 10. And this is a really hard one because we're spreading over 2 seasons. But Danny, very quickly, Matt Taylor out of 10 in the last year.
I'd probably say a 7.
7's very positive. Kept us up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But I think the start to this season has let him down. So it's like a 7, but like just a 7.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, 6.5, 7 for me, Mick.
Wow. I will go in. The first number that sprang into my mind were 4.
4 out of 10.
Yeah, I think so. Lot to learn. Could do better.
You're a happy clapper.
Well, listen,
God, I'm glad I was sat down when Mick said that.
I know.
I thought because his start to this season has been appalling. But however, there are some mitigating circumstances. So, could
Okay.
go back.
John S says 1. Chris Diller says 6. John Morrell says 6 out of 10 kept us up, but as everybody's school report says, could do better. Joy?
Yeah, I'm going halfway. 5.
Mm.
You know,
That's
kept
fine.
us up last season, but we started off this season poorly. But like we say, mitigating circumstances. So room for improvement.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got work to do. And it's all on his back. Scott Kent and Yoz are with Mick, and Sam Darby says 4. Simon Zuckerman says 5. Yeah. I've been more positive. I don't get life sometimes, but anyway. Jamie says, if we win, I'll buy Mick a hot chocolate at every home game and a tripod for the instant reactions. And John Henry says, if we win at Southampton, then I'll buy everybody on this thread a pint and a curry. There's some promises being thrown out here.
If we win at Southampton, I'm trying to think of the most outlandish thing that I can do.
Fish in Sweden or something stupid like that again.
In fact, no. If we beat Southampton, I want everyone to come to the Woodman on Sunday, and I will do a dirty pint at the end of my shift, and that's everything out the waste tray.
If we win.
That's how unconfident I am that we'll beat Southampton.
Okay. Mick, Joy, do you want to volunteer to something stupid, or do you want to keep your sensible hats on?
Well, I'm doing something stupid. I'm actually going to Southampton. So you can't be more stupid than that, can you, really? After recent performances. So think of me. Think of me schlepping down to St Mary's.
Jamie says, shave your head. Mick, I think that's aimed at you. Shave your head if we win.
If we win, I shall do Sunday night's podcast in the car from a car park in Wales with the window open.
With the window up?
Open.
Apologies. Okay. Yeah.
That's as far as I'm going.
Tweet us anything you've got, because this could go on all night. We need to leave. It's been an hour and 12 minutes. I'm happy we've been able to finish on some positive and a bit of a laugh, because it's not always easy. It's me and Mick did the instant reaction last night, and I just didn't know what to say, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It wasn't the easiest. So thank you all for being with us. Thank you for watching the instant reaction. Thank you for watching us on here. Please subscribe to YouTube if you haven't already. Give the video a like, give us a thumbs up if you can as well. If you listen to iTunes and Spotify, please make sure you've subscribed. I don't think I'll have time to do a scouting report for Southampton. It's been a busy week, so I don't think I'm going to have time to get somebody in for that. But we'll move on. We've got Ipswich next. That's an easy game, and Coventry after easy game. We'll get easy games. We'll get some points.
Oh, God.
We will next Sunday evening live on YouTube, or Monday morning if you're listening to us that the other way, the audio. Safe trips for 1,000 or so that's going down to Southampton. It's a hell of a trip. Please support the Millers. Get behind them because they need you, and hopefully they'll do us right. Mick, thank you for this. Anything else, Mick?
No, I'm done.
Good. Thank you very much, Joy, for being this. Pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Danny, as always, thank you very much, even though your Wi-Fi did us.
Yeah, it pulled an hamstring, didn't it? But I do like John's comment about if you win, you buy a round for everyone in the pub instead. Yeah, that's much more sensible. I'll stick with that new suggestion from John.
Fair enough. I like it. Thank you all for being with us.
I was going to say, the pub that the London Millers were going to do go at meeting burnt down last night. So, yeah, good start before we even get to Southampton.
The curse of Rotherham United is spreading, isn't it?
Yeah, the curse.
Do we think we need to get like an exorcist or something in at New York Stadium? Because something's amiss with this team.
I think so. We'll work on the international break. We'll work on something. Thank you all for being with us. We'll see you next time, and up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
It's a Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringer, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, the Dauphin, he can hit them, and he does. The Dauphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham championship status for next season.